Celestial stratification of Star Wars, certain constituents bear profound influence. Amidst the Bombad court, located at the very nucleus of this cosmic narrative, perspicacious examiners deliberate upon these pivotal constituents. They constitute an exceptional juridical consortium, acclaimed far and wide as the Bombadcast. These are their determinations.
Court doth convene. Let all persons present rise for our honourable judges.
Esteemed patrons of the arts, allow us to extend an invitation of the highest order. One that transports you to a realm where the stars themselves become our canvas.
Join us for a live stream of unparalleled distinction, where we embark on a journey through the cosmos of Star Wars, employing the venerable tradition of tier making. This splendid gathering, we shall deliberate and discern, weighing the merits on the denizens of the galaxy far, far away.
On this very day, we shall classify these aspects into tiers that echo with the resonance of ages, carrying with them the legacy of epochs gone by.
We entreat you to don your robes of discernment and wield your scepter of opinion. For your presence shall be the keystone of this cosmic symposium. Let the Force guide your judgment as we navigate this celestial odyssey together.
Mark well the date and hour for this live stream experience, for it shall be a celestial event of cosmic proportions. We anticipate your attendance and contributions with the highest regard.
Pray, all rise and attend, for this court is now convened and in solemn deliberation. Let all who stand within be mindful of the weight of justice that hangs in the balance with humility and reverence. We beseech the guidance of providence in the affairs that lie before us.
May we, one and all, remain in the highest of spirits, undaunted by adversity and resolute in our endeavors, striving evermore to stay bombad in our pursuits. We shall open the court.
With great reverence, I now summon forth the honorable counselors, who shall, with eloquence and erudition, champion their respective causes in this esteemed chamber.
On behalf of the court and the jurors, I beseech you to approach and stand poised for the pursuit of justice, guided by the principles and decorum befitting this noble endeavor. Let their wisdom and advocacy be a beacon of light in our quest for truth and equity. Coming to the stand first, Alden Diaz from Octo Radio and Casterly Talk, etc.
Good evening.
Michael McCoy from All Remaining Systems.
A pleasure as always, your honors.
and Jared the Dark Jedi from the Nerd Academy podcast.
May it please the Bombad Court.
We now will explain the rules of this live stream. Please listen.
Esteemed virtual attendees, don the mantle of revered jurors in our digital court. Your discerning voices, akin to jurors of yore, shall weigh in matters of this cyberspace voyage.
Your sagacity shall guide us towards a verdict steeped in justice's very essence, deliberate with gravity and diligence, for in this digital chamber you embody the discernment and virtue.
The docket lies before us, an assembly of these very concepts awaiting our judicious appraisal. Each contends for its rightful place in our hierarchy. It is our solemn duty to adjudge their worthiness, to weigh merits and demerits impartially.
Yet, let it be known that this endeavor is not devoid of challenge. Disputes may arise in this chamber of intellectual discourse. It is in the crucible of dissent that our discernment's metal shall be tested. With decorum and respect, we shall address these disparities, forging a verdict steeped in the truth.
In all our endeavors, let us cleave to the beacon of verity, be unswayed by the capricious winds. But let truth's lodestar illuminate our path. With honor and integrity as our guiding stars, we shall render judgment in accordance with our noble calling.
Attorneys, I beseech you, present your case before this tribunal and explain the sacredicity of tier listing.
Well, in the nomenclature of yore, from highest esteem to the more humble stations, we bestow designations of S, A, B, C, and D. These tiers serve as means to arrange and discern akin to the rungs of a ladder or the branches of a tree. The S tier, resplendent and supreme, houses the epitome of excellence, whereas the D tier, though not without merit, speaks to areas where refinement may yet find its place.
Each tier, a realm unto itself, is marked by distinctions, both subtle and clear. Those of S tier are paragons, the exemplars, distinguished by unrivaled prowess and accomplishment. A follows closely, a testament to exceptional standing, where excellence is manifest in abundance.
B tier, though a step below, harbors commendable virtue and commendable talent. C tier holds steadily as the ground of competence, where one navigates with sure-footedness.
Thus, in the tiers of antiquity, we categorize and commend according to where honor where it's due, and providing room for growth and aspiration.
As we choose our tier listings, you are welcome to choose your own. For the jurors, the cyber chat in which you can communicate with the court, a link has been placed. This link allows you to contribute to your own tier list on the very subject matter. Please click it. We would love to see your transgressions. In the briefest of moments, you must realize truth will be met. Things will happen. Bonds will be broken. We will display the tier list. There are 57 choices. Quite a feat.
Halle Berry.
On this tier list, you can see placed before you every episode of live action Star Wars television, And we will begin with The Mandalorian, Chapter 1, The Mandalorian. Let us discern.
Well,
Gentlemen, attorneys, if you do not agree, the chat acting as our jurors will intervene. And as judges, we are allowed one veto if we feel ever so compelled.
Aye.
Very well. Shall we begin presenting our cases then?
You
We
begin.
shall.
Aye. We begin.
Chapter
I-
1. Oh, by all
Might I
means.
suggest for Chapter 1, The Mandalorian, A tier?
Is
I
there
must
any?
say,
Yes.
I must say, I'm inclined to agree. I think a nice, sensible A tier is not only a good precedent to set for this evening, but I do think that while this episode does not wow and amaze, undeniably an important foundational stepping stone.
I think that my fellow council are underrating this episode as it marked the beginning of a new era for Star Wars television and also ushered in one of the greatest reveals in the history of Star Wars as a media franchise. The introduction of Grogu, the introduction of Din Djarin himself. This episode is a milestone in the history of this very fandom, and to rank it anything below S tier is in fact an insult to the history of The Mandalorian and to Star Wars television in and of itself. The Mandalorian, Chapter 1, The Mandalorian is S tier. Anything beneath it is an insult, Your Honor.
We have a disagreement in the court.
While I do believe that my fellow counselor Jared makes some valid points, I think he is placing too much significance on how The Mandalorian ushered in a new era of Star Wars. I think it is important for us to keep in mind the content of the individual episode. And again, everything within the episode is very good, hence why it is the A tier. But the S tier, I must stress, must only contain the ultimate episodes of Star Wars television. And therefore, I believe it doesn't quite make the cut of S tier.
If it please, I'm inclined to agree with Mr. McCoy. I think it's a dangerous territory immediately, right off the bat, tonight's proceedings, to start worrying about how the business and how it changed things and the streaming and the this, that. If we are talking story, then I am in the right place. If we are talking how many clicks it drove, well, then I'm afraid we've lost the plot entirely.
Objection, Your Honor. There's a vested interest between my fellow counsel that they are on the same team in Epic Confrontations, and therefore their list might as well be
Objection is
considered the same one.
disallowed. Objection is
Silence!
disallowed.
Silence!
Thank you, Your Honor, for dismissing Counselor Jared's baseless claims. Now, I believe we do have a 2-1 vote for A tier here.
I also concur. I believe it does fit the category of A tier. Jareem, you are more than welcome to voice your concerns. Judge Cable, do you have any thoughts on the matter?
While yes, a milestone, it is. With the entire width and breadth that we have been bestowed, I believe A tier is all but reasonable.
So it shall be determined.
Thank you.
A tier?
A tier. Judge Cable, you may decree.
God bless.
has been
56
placed-
more to go.
It has been placed in A tier for the court to see. Court, we shall move on to The Mandalorian, Chapter 2, The Child. Court, you may discern and discuss.
Well, if I may begin, I'm going to say that this right here is the first S tier episode of the evening. Because not only did it revitalize elements of Star Wars that have been there on a story level, like the Jawas, giving them culture, giving them wants and needs, it also gave us one of the most inspiring Force-using moments in all of Star Wars canon, when little Grogu lifted the mudhorn to defend the man that would one day become his father. If you are not moved by this, then you might not have a human bone in your body.
Michael?
With due respect to Mr. Diaz, I do believe this is another A tier episode. Again, while I acknowledge the power in the ending of the episode and the use of Baby Yoda's force abilities.
Objection. The character's name is Grogu.
Objection. We did not know that at the time of this episode's
We
release.
know it
Objection is
now,
upheld.
sir.
Console reformulate
Sustained.
your query.
Sustained.
When Grogu used the force,
Thank you.
it was indeed a powerful moment. However, does one moment alone elevate an episode to the S tier? Does one moment have the power to elevate an episode from solid foundations to the peak of excellence? I don't think so. And again, this is a very good episode. But is this some of the peak of Star Wars television? I dare not say. Jared? Jared.
I am inclined to agree with Council McCoy. I do think this episode is excellent. I think the action is superb. And we do have the incredible moment of Grogu calling on the Force for the first time. However, it lacks the punch that the previous episode had that, in my opinion, should elevate it to the S tier. I think that A tier is more than adequate for Chapter 2 of The Mandalorian.
Judge Cable, may I speak? I am inclined to agree with Attorney Alden Diaz. Jerry, thou art bound by oath. You are more than welcome to have the floor in this disagreement. Judge Cable, shall you weigh in on the matter?
I believe that while, yes, fantastic, very, very well choreographed action, a lot of imagining of what we knew of Jawas. I tend to put this one a little bit even lower than the first one. Yes.
Shocking. We seem to have a disagreement in the court.
No, I think your judges or your attorneys all agree on the matter, Your Honor. There was a clear vote of 2-1. That was enough to settle the S tier argument for the Mandalorian. So I think that precedent should hold moving from this point.
Judge Dark Jedi has a point. We shall move on. This goes in the category of A tier.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Also
A
happy to know that I'm
controversial
a judge now.
episode. A controversial episode, to be sure, of very, very high popularity. I am, of course, referring to The Mandalorian, Chapter 3, The Sin. It is apparently the very episode that gave Deborah Chow the opportunity to direct the Kenobi series, which will bring some contention among this court, I'd imagine.
Now, I would like to begin with this one, if you don't mind, Your Honor.
Attorney McCoy, you are more than
Your Honor.
welcome.
Careful.
I would like to say at this time, I'm not certain where I want to put this episode, in the A tier or the S tier, and so I would like to defer to other counsel to sway me one way or the other.
Well, sir, before Mr. Glittery and Guilty starts giving his case, I would like to say that the Sin is the preeminent, premier, gold standard for season 1 of The Mandalorian, and still holds a special place in my heart amongst all the Star Wars television. It should be our first S tier entry tonight. This right here is where the show showed you its soul. When Din Djarin sits in that cockpit and he sees that the little ball has been removed from his lever. That was the moment where he was reborn. An episode that begins with Din Djarin saying, I think my armor has lost its integrity. I may need to begin again. This is the beginning of the sophisticated thematic through line for this entire saga of Disney.
I have
Plus
been
shows.
swayed. I would like to hear from other counsel first, Your Honor. With all due respect, this court does have rules and a procedure.
Silence! Do not lecture us about the rules.
Peace of the
Counsel,
court, I beseech you.
but
Let
you are
decorum
correct.
Guide
You
our
are
proceedings.
Yes, yes. Like my
Well, despite the unnecessary ad hominem from our co-counsel, who I must remind the jury is currently sipping on a bottle of wine in this...
I don't know what ad hominem means. So there you go.
I remain unsurprised, Your Honor. I must, however, agree with co-counsel Diaz as everything he said about his analysis of Chapter 3, the sin, stands as self-explanatory. It is the moment where the show showed you its very soul and showed you that the story of the Mandalorian would not be that of a lone gunslinger, but that of a father and his son. So for that, I am inclined to agree with Mr. Diaz, despite his unsavory, unnecessary, harsh words.
Might I now say where I have landed? I think you both have made some very valid points.
I swear to God.
And I agree with them, so I will put this episode in the S tier as well.
Oh,
It
Lord.
is
Because I
determined-
believe this is the episode that showed us that Din Djarin was not just a faceless bounty hunter, but he was a man. And for that reason, for making this show more than what some initially believed it to be, I concur with my counsel, and we come to a unanimous conclusion of S tier for The Sin.
the
S tier,
first of the
ladies and
night.
gentlemen.
The first of the night.
Yes.
I will
S
put
tier.
it in its rightful place, gentlemen.
It's also Modelo time.
Well,
S tier has been determined. Now,
do we
this
take a
next
short Modelo
episode-
recess. No, okay, let's go.
this next one will be of controversy.
Yes, indeed.
The Mandalorian Chapter 4, Sanctuary. Or is it The Sanctuary? Did I make a mistake on the docket?
No, it's just Sanctuary for reasons that still
Sanctuary.
elude me.
This is going to be a
will-
difficult one, and might I petition to fellow counsel that we try and remove connotations with Gina Carano from the conversation, as I believe they are not relevant to the contents of the episode themselves in regards to her actions outside of the show. I believe that
Yes.
criticisms
Much
of her
like-
acting within the content of that show
Yes.
are valid.
I concur.
Much
She
like
is a cunt.
much like the talent herself removing her career prospects, we will remove her judicial prospects this evening.
I do wish that it be on the record that Gina Carano is, and I mean this with as much prejudice as I can muster, a hateful, evil, stupid heifer.
I concur.
No
So
one
we
will
feel-
argue that. However, I'm simply stating it should not affect our ranking of this episode.
I agree,
Look-
but I wish it to be on the record that Gina
Of
Carano
course,
is
of course. I
a
wish it for-
stupid, evil, hateful heifer.
Sustained. Yes.
Sustained.
With that being said,
Like with all things, there is duality though, because while we did receive her first performance, we also received Bryce Dallas Howard's Star Wars debut and did an excellent job directing it. I'm not set on a tier at this exact moment, but I will say strong character moments. O'Mara almost getting Din to take his helmet off and possibly stay and start a new life. Din considering leaving Grogu behind, but then deciding to continue the journey with him. It's important episode for the story and the themes.
Yes.
But is it one that I re-watch often? I can't say I do. Cannot say so.
While the character beats do stand tall and that the action sequences, in particular, the aforementioned hateful heifer's attack on the hijacked ATST, I must maintain that this is a B tier episode. While there is a strong emotional core and we get to see Din Djarin's deep desire to maybe hang it all up, the pacing of the episode is subpar and it does not further the story in the same way that other chapters do, nor does it maintain the fun adventure of the week vibe that the rest of the series maintains. I call for the Sanctuary to be ranked at B tier.
B
I
tier.
would say that I am oscillating between B and C tier for this episode. I would be comfortable with it landing in either category because
I think
I do
please.
not believe that this episode is very memorable. As you mentioned, Mr. Diaz, we don't revisit this one very much. And I don't believe that while its character moments are good, I don't believe that they stick out much to me in my mind. When I think of memorable moments from season 1, not one is within this episode.
This
And
very
therefore,
well
while none
might
of it is
be-
overtly bad or offensive, I don't think it's particularly noteworthy.
This might be an
So-
episode that gets better with time. If Din does indeed settle down with that beautiful single mom, perhaps we'll look back on this.
But
episode
as
more
of
fondly.
now, Mr. Diaz, as of now,
as of
The
now,
here and now, man.
I feel compelled to choose C tier, especially given the fact that there are over 50 other episodes waiting to be placed. And if I put this in B, then I feel it sullies a little bit of the reliability, a little bit of the integrity of the list.
And I, at this time, am oscillating between B and C tier. So unfortunately, we cannot come to a decision, and therefore it is up to the judges.
I actually will happily allow this episode to slip into C tier.
Hey, Lamau, let's put it in C tier.
The first A Lamau of the evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Judge Cable,
Hey,
do you,
Lamau.
do you agree with our attorneys that this should be categorized into the C tier listing?
It is very tempting to do so. However, one thing very much tempts me in my very, it vexes me in my very soul. That is the first live action Lothcat. But very personal for me. But I believe C tier is where this belongs. C, because that's how you spell Gina's name, is you put there's a C and then there's some other letters there. So
It has been determined by the court themselves that the episode, Chapter 4, The Mandalorian Sanctuary, is going into the category of C tier.
C tier.
C tier.
Now, I would like to petition our judges as we head into our next one here in the interest of time. I think that Chapter 5, the Gunslinger, should be a individual case where we invoke some sort of hastened process, because as much as I love Dave Filoni, he was a novice at this time. We do
Objection,
not know.
Your Honor. My fellow counsel hates fun. Gunslinger goes straight to A tier.
Objection is upheld. Counsel, reformulate your query.
And here I thought I would be the one objecting.
The Gunslinger is a fantastic standalone episode that invokes the fun adventure of the week vibe that The Mandalorian brings us week to week. It maintains both a through line of the story of Din and Grogu, father and son, while also bringing us a fun Western feeling romp of an action adventure. And not only does it provide us with a fun, isolated adventure, it also introduces such mainstays to this series as Fennec Shand and Pelimoto. The Fennec Shand introduction, which also brings us to the Book of Boba Fett itself. There is no reason for this episode to be ranked lower than the B tier, and frankly, the B tier is at best a compromise with the anti-fun antics of my counsel.
Attorney,
Sir,
Objection, personal attacks.
Attorney Jared,
Objection,
I will-
motherfucker,
I will-
we're on the same team.
I will.
Whoa, my
No
goodness.
cursing in the
Objection,
court.
your opinions do not speak for me.
Overruled.
Overruled.
You're treacherous. What disgusting tongue.
I
Silence
move for
Lamau,
Mr. Bacchus to be placed in contempt. This is
He may make us take a recess if he gets the foul language once again.
Your Honor, might I state my
Unwarranted.
opinion?
Don't
as my-
fudge with us. Don't you do it.
let it be known that I still have not finished, thanks to this man.
Pardon me, Mr. Diaz. I want to agree with Judge Doc Jedi. I'm sorry, Attorney Doc Jedi. But his words, his foul, hateful words, have caused me to sway on the opinion he he so beautifully stated.
Where's
You
my
may now
curtsy?
have the floor. We may take a recess,
Oh,
if so necessary,
heavens.
on
This-
behalf of Judge Jared's, God bless it, lack of attorney, Jared's foul mouth.
This episode should be in the lowest tier of any list, be it live action, be it just Mandalorian,
Good
be
Lord.
it Dave Filoni projects, whatever it is. It is not bad television. It is, in fact, a fine story, and it does contribute some great elements, including the beginning of the humanization of the Tuscan people. I think this episode does great things. However, this is about these 57 episodes. And there has to be last place people. And Toro Calican, which Jared conveniently did not mention at all in his tirade and rantings, is
If
the
you expect
worst.
if you
Is the
expect
worst.
counsel
Objection.
to strong arm me
Sir.
by saying
Sir.
that I did not include Tora Calican,
Hey, let's
Tora
shake
Calican
hands.
did an
This
incredible
out.
Unhand me,
shit
sir.
up.
Let
And I will
him
have it be
reverence.
known that
You
you
will
were an
respect
incredible
through
foil.
these
that you
proceedings.
are in.
Respect this court.
We will call recess.
Silence.
Toro Calican is the worst character in modern Star Wars. D tier.
Motion to silence both my other counselors that I may speak.
Motion is upheld.
Thank you, Your Honors. Now, I
Objection,
believe that
Your
both
Honor.
men here have.
Counsel Diaz is an
Silence!
alcoholic.
Been
You are held
banished.
in
You are
contempt.
banished. He will remain
are
silent
held
for
in
the remainder of
contempt.
this selection.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, I think that Counselor Jared, before he lost his goddamn shit just now, had some valid
We'll
points.
allow it. We'll allow you to curse. We like you.
And I believe Mr. Diaz has some valid points as well. However, I don't think that calling Toro Calican the worst character in modern Star Wars is valid, because you are meant to hate him. He is meant to be a shitlord. And therefore, the fact that we do hate him so is a testament to this episode's success. However, to say that this episode goes in the A tier would be just as heinous as putting it in the D tier. Like Jared said, there are several good things about this episode, such as the introduction of Pelimoto, the humanization of the Tuscan Raiders, the introduction of Fennec Shand, an excellent action sequence where they're trying to get to her. I believe there is some solid stuff here. However, it is ultimately kind of forgettable. And therefore, I would motion to put this episode in the C tier.
May I say one word, Attorney McCoy?
You may.
You all seem to have forgotten this is the introduction of Boba Fett, who has his own series we will
Allegedly.
deliberate upon.
Hmm?
I'm going to bring Judge
Boba Fett's.
I'm going to bring Attorney Jared back into this court. Please be respectful.
This is also the debut of Pelimoto. Peli Bartholomew Moto, my favorite.
This is our most debated discussion yet.
Your Honor,
Who
if
would
it
have thought?
please,
You
I
may
would
speak.
just like to say that by the end of this, there will be episodes in that last tier, unavoidable. And if this is not among them, then I'm afraid we're sacrificing our credibility.
It
What
appears that
episode in this crop should rank lower than Gunslinger?
We shall get there.
we must
I'm-
make a decision, gentlemen. It has been
I think Michael's motion to compromise on C was valid.
C for Michael, C for Jared. Dark Jedi, have you any word?
While I would argue that the Gunslinger is worthy of, at the very least, the B tier, this is not the hill I'm willing to die on, and there are episodes that I do think receive an undue amount of criticism and would rather argue in favor of those. So I am willing to very reluctantly concede the C tier. However, I do think the Gunslinger is deserving of it, the very least, the B tier.
Judge Cable, do we agree upon the C tier listing for this episode of The Gunslinger, Chapter 5 of The Mandalorian?
You know that I enjoy Peli. She's my bitch. But
Ayla Mao, Your Honor.
Objection, Your Honor. There is a double standard here. I curse and I get put in contempt, and the entire rest of this panel is able to curse with impunity.
$1 in the
Silence!
impunity jar.
Silence! C tier.
C tier has been determined. Not everyone can
It
win.
was your
You
town.
know that. You know that from experience, Dark Jedi. Not everyone can win.
Now, Your Honor, for this next episode, The Prisoner, I would like to begin the arguments here. Because I believe firmly this is an S tier episode.
I
Beyond
concur
a shadow
completely
of a
with
doubt.
co-counsel McCoy.
One of the most fun episodes of Star Wars television there ever has been.
Two S
Not
tiers.
only is it a fun adventure, it's
My
a
God.
great reflection on the past of Din Djarin, seeing the criminals he used to run with. It is an excellent use of alien designs. It is an
Yes.
introduction to Bill Burr's character of Miggs Mayfeld. And on top of all of that, Clancy Brown is also in it. And that's kind of neat. And also, it feels like a Star Wars RPG session transmogrified into television form. And for that reason, I would say that to put this any lower than S tier is a crime against me personally.
Dark Jedi, I know you do also enjoy the music of this episode, yes?
Well, yes, I do mostly agree with co-counsel McCoy. I do believe this is an episode mostly deserving of B or A tier, the high B, low A end. Again, this speaks to the adventure of the week vibe of the first batch of Mandalorian episodes. And as you alluded to, Honorable Judge J-Ro, we get the best interpolation of the Mandalorian theme as it uses Ludwig Göransson's roots in hip-hop production to bring us a score that is unreplicated in the rest of his work across the Star Wars universe. We get the iconic trap beat version of the Mandalorian theme, complete with hi-hats and snares that you never hear in any other piece of Mandalorian or Star Wars score, save for the dubstep roots of the Dark Trooper theme. But aside from the excellence of the music in this episode, we receive a fun adventure of the week in The Prisoner, incredible alien design, everything my co-counsel, Mr. McCoy, has said. I cede my time.
I do agree with Dark Jedi. I very much enjoy the 808 being used. Now, I feel that there is tension within this chamber. Mr. Diaz.
I do not disagree with any individual point that has been made. It's very fun. In the comments here, we have Eric commenting Gungan racism, which is personally one of my favorite moments of Bill Burr's performance, where he says, and I quote, "You so don't want to show your face?" I think that moment is brilliant and hilarious. Canto Bite Slot Machine. I think this episode is great. However, S tier is so precious. It's so precious, and it must be protected. And when we think...
Oh no. We have disruption occurring in the court. Mr. McCoy, can we we've
Counsel
disheveled.
McCoy.
S
Counsel
tier.
McCoy.
Casper Maynard.
Michael,
Yes.
Michael, please contain yourself. Please contain yourself just for a
Oh,
moment.
this is me contained, Mr. Diaz. You don't want to see me uncontained. Order!
Order! Silence!
Goodness me.
We're on the 6th episode. We must move on, gentlemen. We've got 51 more to go.
In the interest of time,
A tier.
I shall compromise to A tier, but I would like on the record my displeasure to be made known.
If I may, before we move on to the next episode, just with regards to the incredible music featured in this episode, I would like to call attention to a quote from the great American poet Childish Gambino.
Oh God.
Put their souls on the track like Ludwig.
Okay. We must come to a determination. We have heard of S tiers. We have heard of A tiers. Judge Cable, you and I have the final word. Where shall this episode rank among the tiers of live action television in Star Wars?
This is very, very hard. I agree with I agree with counsel. I agree with I'm very torn. Go ahead, Judge J-Ro.
I am partial to A tier.
You A tier.
A tier. I believe this is
We shall deliberate. A tier. A tier. A tier sounds good.
It has been
A
determined by the Bombad Court that Chapter 6, The Prisoner, has been categorized into an A tier episode. Gentlemen, we must continue this pursuit of reasoning. The next episode of discussion is Chapter 7, The Reckoning. Who would like to deliberate first?
I will begin with Reckoning and say that while Deborah Chow has never missed, and I love her dearly,
Never.
I think that this episode stands against a stacked deck in terms of its placement. You have Taika Waititi on the finale, which we will get to, and that episode truly feels like the second part. They are essentially a two-parter. I think this on its own probably deserves B, though the death of Quill is devastating.
I would like to concur with counsel. I believe that this is a solid B tier episode. It has moments such as the child healing grief Karga, and like counsel said, the death of Quill. And it is a good episode, but I don't think anything in particular stands out to elevate it any higher than B tier.
The moment where the child decides to force choke that vile woman, very Bombad. That's about it.
Very Bombad.
Dog Jedi.
I would like to concur with my co-counsel and cede my time.
Fantastic. This is automatically going to go into the B tier. Now, this episode, the B tier has been declared. B tier has been declared. This next one, however, is a very interesting episode because it has granted us the ability to have a directorial debut in Star Wars from Taika Waititi. And with that directorial debut, he has been granted an entire movie in which he is still currently writing 6 years later.
Relatable.
Objection, Your Honor. There is a writer's strike happening.
This man has been
6
granted
years?
this ability since 2020, sir. December of 2020, when we got the Schoolhouse Rock logo.
Objection, Your Honor. I believe this is irrelevant to the discussion at hand.
I agree. Gentlemen,
Therefore, I would like to begin by suggesting that this episode go in the B tier. While it does have moments such as the death of IG-11 and the
Objection,
reveal
Your
of the
Honor.
Darksaber-
My co-counsel is smoking crack.
objection is disallowed. The witness
Slander.
may continue.
The slander in this
He may
courtroom at this
continue.
moment.
No, you keep your insults to yourself.
Thank you, Your Honor, for protecting my integrity within this court.
Your integrity as a crackhead.
Your Honor!
Gentlemen,
Might I object?
One more from you.
Let decorum and reference guide our proceedings.
Oh, goodness.
Again,
Unnecessary.
this is a good episode. Is it a great episode?
Yes.
Counsel Diaz, please go ahead.
I was prepared to put this in A tier. In the interest of time, I would not mind it going in B tier. I think it's an excellent evolution for Din Djarin's character. I think it's a great shot in the arm for the Star Wars storytelling at the time. We got the forward direction. We got the reveal of the Darksaber. Let us know firmly that this is all one story. Despite what Twitter might have you believe, people that are convinced that this was some standalone show that had nothing to do with anything. I think that this is a great episode. I think Taika Waititi influenced it with his comedy stylings in strong ways. I think the Scout Trooper bit is very funny, but I'm not married to it. I don't feel like fighting over this one, and I think it's time that we left season 1 behind. I'm fine with B tier, and I think that Jared should be disbarred for his comments.
Judge Doctor, Attorney God bless it.
Attorney Bachman Stubbs.
Yes.
I would like to again reiterate that we are passing over incredible milestones in the history of Star Wars television.
Good God.
Simply because they don't live up to some First of
Must
all,
be.
this trial should be put to a this should be a mistrial on the face of the observable contempt against me as
Another
an
white
attorney
man
from this
claiming
crooked
oppression.
court, from this crooked kangaroo court. However,
Objection, Your Honor. He's just saying words.
Yes. Objection is upheld.
Judge Cable, will you talk to me?
Speak your piece.
Judge J-Ro, will you talk to me?
In what capacity?
Co-counsel McCoy, will you talk to me?
What is this shit?
Co-counsel Diaz, will you talk to me?
Get
What is
fucked,
this?
Jared?
Pardon me, Mr. Diaz.
Objection, obscene language.
Unbelievably
I
foul.
demand that this court maintain a similar standard that is held to me, to the rest of my co-counsel, and the
overtook me.
judges that preside over this case.
Something overtook me. A different voice, a different timeline, a different man.
See, his
Good
tone
lord.
was better though.
This
Objection,
episode-
relevance
Was of
to the
respect.
episode ranking.
This episode not only shows us for the first time the sinister splendor of Giancarlo Esposito's Moff Gideon.
Good lord.
It also shows us the beginning of the humanization of Din Djarin himself. The first moment we see him freely show his face.
That is a good point.
We see the very determination of Din Djarin as a father. I ask that evil Anakin Skywalker be held in contempt of court and banned from chatting for 5 minutes at the very least.
In no capacity will that happen.
Kangaroo court. This is a crooked court.
Silence.
We experience the sinister splendor of Giancarlo Esposito's Moff Gideon. We see the very human behavior of a robot in Taika Waititi's IG-11, the Taika Waititi that for whatever reason the Honorable Judge J-Ro demands to be indicted for some reason. We see Din Djarin humanize himself. This is an episode that brings forth the redemption, as is the very name of this episode, of Din Djarin as he stands steadfast, ready to protect his son. To place this episode any lower than A tier is to spit in the face of the journey of the Mandalorian itself. I cede my time, Your Honor.
Judge Cable, while Attorney Jared makes good points, I think it is to be discussed between you and I alone, where this could be categorized into. I will not call for veto, but I tend to side with Jared on this very decision. Judge Cable, you determine where this episode will lie. Your words are in the balance of this experience.
I agree with Counsel Jared.
It has been determined this is a tier episode. Judge
Thank you,
Jared,
Your Honors.
A tier.
good.
I would like to
argument.
have this court
We
make note
don't
that
hate
next time,
you, okay?
Next time that I disagree with what's being said, I will just throw a childish tantrum and then I'll get my way.
Objection, Your Honor. Ad hominem and irrelevant to the argument.
Objection on your objection. You
He's
said
disallowed.
he does crack.
Objection, you
He's
did it
disallowed.
first.
Disallowed. I will veto this next round. My only veto for this entire tier listing experience. Chapter 9, The Marshal, is S tier. Been
I
determined.
will not argue.
No arguments will be had. That is
S
determined.
tier.
My
I
veto
argue
has
that
been
the judges.
upheld.
I argue that the judges retain their veto, as I think we are all in agreement that the marshal is the S tier. Moving on.
Do we agree?
We agree.
S
Keep your
tier?
veto.
That
Keep your veto.
episode is fucking incredible. There has
And I
never
don't
been a
believe
better
that there's
episode.
any reason to go any further, and we should move on to the next
There is a
episode.
better episode, and it's the end of this season, Your Honor.
We will discuss.
All right.
Get there
To
when we
make
get
this decision making a little bit quicker, I will allow each person to share very briefly their thoughts. Chapter
On-
10, The Passenger.
Chapter 10,
Yes.
The Passenger, is D tier. And I
My
do regret
God.
to say this.
Good
It is
Lord. What?
it is one of the few episodes I can say I quite frankly did not enjoy it very much.
My God, sir.
Now, primarily the reason for this argument, I did
What?
not find the comedy bits of the
Hurry it up.
child devouring that woman's spawn.
My
Oh,
Lord,
to be
no.
enjoyable.
We will
Here we
not.
go.
We will not
This
be
will not be
relitigating.
While,
discussed. We will-
while the
Litigation.
discourse was
Walk it
absurd,
back, McCoy.
allow me to speak my opinion, Your Honor,
It
instead
is
of
shit.
merely lumping me in with the incompetent among us. I did not say that it was vile or that it was disgraceful, merely that I did not find it amusing.
It was unbelievable.
And
Unbelievable.
I did not find the
You didn't
conflict
find
of
that
the
amusing?
episode to be very compelling. I did not find
My
the
God.
contents of the episode to be overall relevant.
Judge
to
McCoy,
both
I mean,
the
Attorney McCoy, you are saying D tier, Attorney Diaz, you may
Allow
have the
me to
floor.
finish, Your
I
Honor.
cannot. You are causing this episode to be discussed 2 minutes longer than it should have been discussed.
Your Honor, this is one of the few things I am passionate about. I have one final point to
Is
make, Your
disallow-
Honor.
You may speak very briefly.
This entire season, The Mandalorian season 2, is a season of phenomenal episodes that go above and beyond my expectations. And this episode sinks so low because it does not meet those standards.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Please move on. Please, Mr. Diaz,
The
please, by all means.
the malarkey, the insanity, the buffoonery of this
Buffoonery.
rant. This episode is A tier. This episode right here.
A tier.
I don't care about your egg gate.
My God.
The literal. If you're still mad about the egg gate, the literal next episode addresses egg gate. I don't know what to tell you. The journey
Unbelievable.
of Dinjarin and Frog Lady. Parallel.
Objection, Your Honor. Co-counsel Diaz relaxed media literacy and somehow claims that the episode addresses Eggate as though Grogu was not actively annihilating an endangered species.
Can you let someone fucking finish?
I will let someone fucking finish when they don't violate the lies of this very sanctified court.
Look, someone
Can
that
appreciate your
watches
tone.
as much brain dead ass Alex Jones content as you is not allowed to talk to me about violating anything. Please,
Prove it in court that I watch InfoWars.
please,
1776 will commence again.
please. This man
Good
is
Lord.
God Almighty. 55 minutes into this stream is so help me. Look, the paralleling journeys between Dinjarin and Frog Lady as two parents in a wide galaxy just trying to do their best and get to the next day when she uses the technology left behind by Zero from chapter 6, The Prisoner, to
That's right.
speak to Dinjarin. A beautiful moment. of
Objection to
connectivity.
the jury.
Oh.
Buck O'Brien.
Oh.
Everybody finishes before the Dark Jedi. Continue, Mr. Diaz.
Yes, especially trivia matches.
Look,
You won on a guess. Continue.
Jared,
Objection, relevance.
Object to the
episode-
judge, you coward.
this episode
You
in
bootlicking
no
shill.
In no universe will I allow this episode to be ranked lower than the Gunslinger. That is heresy.
Yes. Heresy.
That is.
I
that
would
is-
gladly rank
I
this
concur.
episode below the Gunslinger.
Oh,
I'll take
yeah.
Toro
Disrespect.
Calican over Frog Lady any
Disrespect.
day.
Judge Cable, can you weigh on the matter so we can move past this?
Respectfully, I would like to hear
godforsaken-
Counselor Jared's opinion.
Good
Not
Lord,
anymore.
please.
No,
This is
he's used his time and other people's turns.
that's true.
Despite
Judge-
the kangaroo court trying to suppress me and my voice,
Yes.
I entirely co-sign everything that co-counsel McCoy has said. I cede
Unbelievable.
my time.
Unbelievable. Judge
This
Cable,
episode
one,
simply was not
D
edgy
tier.
enough for Jared.
it is not edgy enough. Yes. Judge Cable, please.
It had a naked
before I
frog
speak-
in it. I mean,
Objection.
come on.
If the two judges place this anywhere over in D tier, this is an overreach of court and violates the sanctity of the laws we have set as precedent. A
Unbelievable.
2-to-1 vote goes to majority,
Unbelievable.
and
I would
the
like to
majority
actually-
has said D tier.
Hold on. I would like to actually walk back something I said, which doesn't happen often in these settings. I would like to reverse.
Or ever.
Michael said some things just now that made me want to edit an earlier point I made. Back when I said that Michael was not a crackhead, I take that back. He is a crackhead.
Your honors, I object to this character assassination on the part of Mr. Diaz.
That
Gentlemen.
was
While I
Him
maintain,
giggling with his glass of wine.
while I maintain that Mr. McCoy does have
He has
crack
never
rocks
had the why
jingling
is he
in his
speaking?
vest pocket,
Why is he speaking?
I do
We have
happen to
deliberated
agree
for
with the
5
crackhead,
minutes.
Your
The only
Honor.
thing I have in
Move
my
on.
vest pocket is this
Calling a
pocket
recess.
watch.
I'm calling a
Silence.
recess. It shall be
Silence.
determined there is
Crack in
now
the
a
pocket
recess
watch.
in the court. Gentlemen, can we move on without discourse?
please.
Crack rock.
This episode is going in the D tier as it has been set by the precedent. Let us move on.
It has been determined by the court that this is, in fact, I just don't agree with it. I really don't.
You don't have to, Your Honor.
It is partial. I must be. My glove is stuck in my mouth. Give me a moment. We are putting this in
Ugh.
D tier.
Ugh.
Unbelievable.
Thank you.
Everybody in the
thank you.
chat, can I
We
get
are
a
to justice,
hashtag justice for Frog Lady? This is just
This is
She has received
unbearable.
Frog Lady species got what it deserved. Moving on.
If I had a chance to vote, it would clearly go into C tier. It is going. We're going to finish the damn list, Buck. O'Brien.
Bachman, say it right, Your Honor.
Now we
it's
shall.
it's actually spelled Bauman.
The
You're factually
Mandalorian,
incorrect,
chapter 11.
Mr. Duz.
The Heiress. I believe this episode should not be debated upon, unless otherwise. If I were to say so in any capacity, personally for me, this episode is A tier.
If I were to go with my gut, I would say A tier. However, I
I
would
would.
not object to anyone saying S tier per se.
I would also say A tier, a wonderful debut for Katie Sackhoff as live action Bo-Katan. It
And
gave us Koska Reeves,
Koska Reeves, my
oh,
girl, Mercedes Monet.
Mercedes Monet / Mercedes Varnado / Sasha Banks. Then we got Simon Casanedes as Axe Woves, a character named by George Lucas. This
right.
gave us Grogu
sweater?
learning about the miracle of life by watching one of Frog Lady's babies get born and learning to appreciate things, lessons he would later carry over into his time with Luke Skywalker, which we will get to later in tonight's proceedings. This episode was great, excellent action, and also fuck the Quarrens.
My
They
species-
yeeted that young baby into the maw of a giant monster, and we just
Monsters gotta eat too. That's all I'm saying.
the specious behavior of my co-counsel notwithstanding,
Unbelievable.
I am inclined to agree with the honorable
It has been determined.
Judge J. Rowe at
It
A
has been
tier.
determined. This is an A tier episode.
I agree.
It did.
A tier.
And plus, we shall mention it here, the first live action reference to Ahsoka Tano. I said that like Donald Trump when he said Puerto Rico.
silence other lambs.
We shall now move on.
is a wonderful
You
Jedi.
heard about
He doesn't
hummus?
say she's a Jedi these days, folks, but she's one hell of a Jedi.
I believe this next one should go to Attorney Diaz first. This
would
episode,
be the
for me personally, not very fascinated by it, except for one moment in particular, the mention of midi-chlorians, but not
Yes.
as straightforward as you would think. Count. Mr.
I would
Diaz, how do you
say-
feel about Chapter 12, The Siege?
I would say this episode, while serviceable and there is nothing actively bad or wrong with it. Even, actress that we've already spoken about doesn't even drag it down that much because she doesn't say much. It's got a shoot 'em up session. It's got a chase. It's got great grief action. It's got one of my favorite starfighter moments in all of Star Wars when the ships and the wide shot of the Razor Crest are coming at each other. I think it's awesome dogfighting. But the episode is, just a little bit of groundwork for stuff that, well, we already knew about from Rise of Skywalker. So I'm just going to say that this episode is a C tier in the most loving way.
C tier. Attorney McCoy? Oh. Either way.
Jared, please.
Well, I would argue that this episode is most likely at the B tier. It features some rousing action, and that is even by the standards of The Mandalorian, which is a action-heavy and action-splendored show. I will say that the seeding of the plotline set up by The Rise of Skywalker, as well as the beginnings of seeing Moff Gideon's cloning operation being featured as well, catapulted into the A tier when taking in The Mandalorian in its totality. I'm sorry, I misspoke. The B tier. While it does not directly further the plot line set up by season 2 of The Mandalorian, I do think as a whole it is elevated to the B tier by virtue of seeing how season 3 ended.
I am on the fence on this one between B and C tier. I believe that this is a fine episode. It is not especially noteworthy. It is serviceable. And therefore, I would like to pass it along to our honorable judges to make their judgment.
Judge Cable?
C tier.
I am willing to agree with my fellow judge. It is being placed into the C tier category.
For the record, this episode also includes the hateful, evil, stupid heifer known as Gina Carano.
A vile woman indeed.
It's also got that blue dude who's kind of funny.
Without deliberation.
Oh, yeah, he was actually also canceled. Not a bit.
Without deliberation.
We'll talk about it later.
I think we can all agree that chapter 13
S tier.
S tier.
The
The
Jedi
most S tier
is
we've had
S tier.
so far. S tier.
It is truly an S tier one
tier.
for me. Judge Jared, please do not disagree.
Jared,
call
I
him a judge.
You will
I
not be
swear
heard.
to God. Jared,
S tier, I concur.
Fantastic. We have all in unanimous agreement for the first time in this stream.
And I
S
don't think
tier.
there's anything really to even discuss about it. I think it speaks
I would
for
like to
itself.
pause. I would like to pause, though, however, and draw attention to the fact that despite all of the aspersions of being, quote, edgy, as spoken by the
Why would you
dishonorable co-counsel of Mr. Diaz, that an episode involving this much lightsaber would somehow be less than S tier from me. Continue.
well, I would just like to say that this is S tier. I didn't need that commentary from you. We could have just moved on, but here we are. This
Nor
episode
did
is
anyone
actually-
accuse you of being edgy within this stream.
We didn't
I
say
did.
within this particular discussion. I agree with Mr. McCoy.
Both
We-
co-counsel Diaz and Judge J-Ro use the word edgy with regards to me, and I would like
This
to keep
episode
on
actually has
record.
only gotten better since the events of Ahsoka.
I-
have
we-
given
God,
us
We are
more.
not
Ah!
here. Yes, I was gonna say we're not here to talk about council's Buckman
behavior.
Stubbs. We're not here to talk about your reputation. We're here to
Yes.
Shall we move on?
We're here to discuss
Yes.
the content at hand. This is an automatic placement into the S tier. As for this next episode, I believe deep down
I'll kiss everybody on this scream, Scotty. You don't know, man.
we shall discuss the tragedy. If I am
S tier.
partial to say anything, automatic S tier.
I agree. I think this is the first time it made Boba Fett interesting as a character. It upped the stakes for the season. And quite frankly, it has a lot of kick-ass action.
Unbelievable.
I would mostly agree. I would be willing to bring it down to A just because I think that as much as I love the story and the action, I think it's great. I think that the decision to shoot it out, I believe in Simi Valley, it
Yes.
kind of just makes Tython stand out in a bad way amongst the
That's
other
fair.
locations. But that's a minor quibble, and I'm willing to overlook it.
Attorney Buckman.
I think the tragedy, as Council McCoy has said, is incredible in its way to finally bring characterization to one Boba Fett, a character nearly as old as the franchise itself. However,
Oh my.
it's shoddy from time to time action and nondescript location do bring it down slightly. I also think the episode feels rushed in its pace. I find it at the lowest level of A tier, at highest
What?
B tier.
It
Well,
appears
then,
that S tier has been
I-
determined by most people in this court, however.
I would say that if my council would prefer to compromise for an A tier, I
A
would
tier
find
works.
this acceptable. I believe that A tier is a suitable place for this episode.
I've
While
had
I
too much wine.
personally-
I've had too much wine to keep up the Benoit Blanc thing. I can't anymore. A tier. A tier is the move.
I concur. I believe
Cable,
this is
do we-
an acceptable compromise.
With the death of the Razor Quest, with the death of the
Mhm.
God,
The treasure
With the death of the Razor
Rainbow
Quest.
with the
With
death
death of
of
the
the
Razor
Razor
Quest.
Crest in the finding of the silver-colored knob and the finding of the Beskar spear, and of course our introduction to the Boba Fett starship experience. I believe this episode should be ranked higher, but I will not sacrifice my Vita for this.
The mere invocation of silver colored knob, Your Honor, should bring this episode down to C tier, as it is a mid band.
I was in that band, and I played guitar
What the
for all their tracks, even if you do
All
not like
two
the
of them?
people involved in Silver Color Knob. I will definitely now not listen to anything you've said. This category is automatically an A tier. I wrote
A tier.
I contributed to 4 or 3
A tier.
songs, played guitar solos on 4 songs. That was quite disrespectful.
This is
I
listen.
believe
This
he
is
spoke
not
out of
about.
turn.
This is about the war in the stars.
Not
Okay.
about the war on Twitter, child. We shall move on to chapter 15, The
A
Believer,
tier.
the first episode that had caused my wife to arise from her seat in terms of Star Wars live action.
S tier. S tier.
S tier, automatically determined. No speaking, Jared. You have no say so in this one.
Objection, Your Honor.
Automatic S tier.
Low-
Automatic
Right.
S tier.
It is a low
Guaranteed.
S tier, high A tier, but I
Well,
will,
I would just
concede
like
it.
to say-
Automatic.
I would just like to say, can we address the youngin in the chat?
Which one?
Star
Child?
Wars in a Galaxy podcast host and EC chairman.
This infant.
Look,
what
go
is
down
this-
to go
what is
down to
this?
his controversial take.
You are a goddamn moron.
he
With
fought
respect.
us. He fought us because we didn't put
Ignoramus.
tragedy in S.
Your Honor, movement to put Eli to bed.
Shall we keep
I-
in mind that
he
this
may
is
be
someone
banished.
who believes
Glass
that
of
the
warm-
Twins is a good episode of Star Wars television, and
Oh.
therefore
Yes.
his
Nomad
opinion should be
droids.
discounted
Case
entirely?
Exhibit B. Yes. I sentence Eli to a glass of warm milk.
It has
Go
been
to bed,
determined
child.
S tier simply upon the dialogue between a unmasked Din Djarin,
Migs Mayfeld and that
Migs
is real.
Mayfeld, yes, thank you, McCoy, Migs Mayfeld, and that asshole, I guess, Imperial officer. Incredible.
Thank you. I could not recall the name.
Very.
This
very-
next
That's
one-
why I'm the fucking double minted #1 contender and Jared's not.
Hey, Wayne
Objection. I
Speaker.
chose not to interrupt our honorable judges. I knew that answer as well.
Let us now discuss what at one point was the penultimate episode of this series, with a reveal that changed how we viewed certain aspects of the Star
Objection,
Wars
Your
universe.
Honor. Penultimate means the next to last, and that the
Oh,
episode we just talked
the
about
ultimate.
was penultimate.
This is the ultimate one. I concur.
Now,
He's
I would
testing.
like to state that this is one I have not firmly come to a decision on. I
This
can see this
episode-
in the S tier or the A tier, and I would like counsel to sway me one way or the other.
This episode is S tier. Look, I think this episode was controversial. I remember seeing Twitter users / podcast hosts that shall remain nameless unless I drink more, bitching and moaning about how Luke hijacked the show, stole the show, this, that, the show. Grogu in the tragedy calls for help. That's why they're there. That is what the Tython Seeing Stone is. He's reaching out for help. Help is answered here. This is the payoff of one of our main characters' decision. People see Grogu as a prop. He's not. He's the co-lead of the show. He just happens to be done with puppetry.
Beautiful.
He asked for help. Luke Skywalker showed up and helped. That's what he did. Yes, it is PS2 Luke. Yes, I wish they would go back in and special edition the episode with the Book of Boba Fett face. I think it would infinitely improve some of people's
Bad take
thought.
from juror Scotty Holiday. Bad take from an otherwise very hot person.
That he's PS2 Luke.
I think that they like. They think
That's
they
a normal.
like.
That's accurate and
yeah.
a normal take. You're not allowed to talk about bad takes, Jared.
They did put hot eyes after their.
I'm done with
their
you, Jared,
initial
and we still have so much more to go. but I'm done
Counselor
with you.
Jared, I would like to hear your opinion.
I am inclined to put this episode in S tier. Not only does it marry
Yes.
the scoundrel underbelly adventure of the week element of the Mandalorian with the through line of the father-son dynamic of the Mandalorian, which is its strongest suit. It also folds it in seamlessly with the Skywalker saga at large and gives me a moment that I have never, ever, ever been able to watch with a dry eye once. We see Luke Skywalker at his pinnacle as a hero, as a protector.
Yes.
Some may theorize to see this scene and cry sheerly for the element of Luke Skywalker whooping ass with a lightsaber when they should be crying for the fact that Luke Skywalker, the lightsaber go burr for many who lack an IQ of above 80 points. However,
I think some of those people are looking for co-hosts, actually.
I think they are actually. And if you're completely devoid of a moral backbone, you should certainly join them. However, what you should be brought to tears by with this episode is by seeing a child saved by a hero. What you should be brought to tears by is by seeing the efforts of one man to protect a child he's never even met. The rescue is the highest echelon of Star Wars television.
And I will
S
say,
tier to the highest
even
degree.
Luke aside, the Din stuff, the Gideon stuff, the Bo-Katan stuff,
The Din stuff is the
Boba Fett-
Din stuff. Yes.
Boba Fett facing off
Yes.
with Bo-Katan and Koska. Koska hits Boba Fett with a DDT.
I was about to say that Koska Reeves hits Boba Fett with a jetpack-assisted tornado DDT.
I would like
for
to
that
address the
reason
comments
alone,
of
this
the
is an S tier
honorable
episode.
and
Let
very
us move
beautiful
on.
Quicksilver girl by
Happy
saying,
birthday.
by saying, yes, I cry while I watch Star Wars is because I have a heart, but I cry at the end of the rescue because it is a distillation of what Star Wars is about.
Also, Ludwig Göransson, man, he could have just used any classic theme because it's Luke. He said, nah, I'm going to make my own Luke theme, and it's going to be so good that it deserves to stand alongside any of the classics. God.
I believe we all agree that this episode is of the utmost A tier in terms of Star Wars television. Now, while this is not chronological, we shall discuss the third season of The Mandalorian. Due to time, I believe we have 41 episodes to still discuss. We must do this post haste. Gentlemen, simply state your tier for some of these episodes, unless otherwise you need to confess your love. Chapter 17, The Apostate.
B tier.
B tier.
B tier?
B tier.
B tier. That was easy to determine. Well, this is a fresh episode, only being about 6 months old. B tier.
Full of pulp,
been a-
full of great stuff, but solid B, good time.
Good time. And Zalens. The next episode we shall discuss is Chapter 18, The Minds of Mandalore.
C tier, but I could be persuaded to B tier.
Unbelievable. Disagree.
A
Go
tier.
on. A tier?
B
A
tier,
tier.
Your Honor.
Then let's
I will
compromise
accept
on
B tier.
Jared's B tier. That sound good, everybody? B tier?
I concur.
B tier is great. I think it has one of the most beautiful moments when Bo-Katan's talking about her father. She says he died defending Mandalore, and Din pauses and delivers the best line reading of This Is the Way and the entire series. It's beautiful. It's great. It's mythic. It's got that weird ass philtypic creature. It's great.
We, I think, are on all agreement. This episode is indeed a B tier episode.
B tier.
B tier.
Taylor, stop laughing at us. We're doing our best.
Chapter 19, The Convert.
A tier.
A tier.
A tier.
B tier, but I'm willing to secede to A tier.
I think A tier on the fact of world building alone for this era. I think it's fascinating. Plain and simple.
We do not have time for me to elaborate on my decision.
No smoking in this court, you fool.
He's smoking crack, Your Honor.
This guy.
We have discussed and have deliberated A tier. Judge Cable, where do you lie in this matter?
Just give it to him.
A tier it is. The Convert.
A tier.
It has been determined. Going in the ranking.
I like the little glowy popsicles.
Hell yeah. And Katie O'Brien.
This next one.
What else?
Mandalorian Chapter 20, The Foundling.
A
This
tier.
one.
S tier.
Unbelievable.
Which one? Which one is the foundling?
Kelleran Beck.
B tier.
Ooh.
I hate
The
to say it.
present day storyline is B tier.
Bombad?
Flashbacks are S tier, so I think
But
it
the
should be S.
flashbacks cannot elevate an episode beyond its main plot.
Judge Cable.
They're part of the
Do we
story.
veto?
Veto.
S tier.
Wait,
S tier.
who's using their veto, or you get one? Total?
I believe that was
'Cause you
Jerry, is that yours or is that mine?
Sure.
That is Jerry's.
So Scotty
S tier.
Simon.
I have
It's an
mine.
egregious abuse of power. But
It is not. Do not lie to yourself, child. We do have the introduction of Kelleran Beck in the moment on the
Kelleran.
Naboo Starfighter. It was incredible. Let it be
Objection,
known.
Your Honor. It's not a starfighter. It's a star yacht.
movie.
Fuck this guy. All right, let's keep it going.
Lord. The good Lord. Chapter 21, The Pirate.
S tier.
My
tier.
Lord.
I love the pirate. I think it has everything.
S-tier?
Everything that's like they
Lord.
fought a swamp thing pirate king while he was bombarding a city. It has some of the best N1 stuff. It's just got all the heart. It emphasizes why is Din Djarin special? Why is he special even if he's not? Because some people think that because Bo takes over on the leadership path in this arc, that makes Din the side character. He's not. Bo-Katan has the destined ruler path, but she doesn't
That's right.
bring people together without a lot of push and pull. For Din, that comes very easy. That's his skill, which we'll see later on Plazier 15 with the Ugnaughts. We'll talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Din being like, no, we got to go help him because they fucking helped us. And that matters. Sticking to your word matters. Being there matters.
A tier. It's pretty cool.
I concur with Council McCoy. A tier.
A tier has been determined. I'm sorry.
A tier.
No, A tier is
Attorney
acceptable. It's
Diaz.
acceptable.
A tier has been determined.
At least that makes some sense, unlike some of these other fucking decisions we've had.
This next one, however, could prove to be interesting. Chapter 22, Guns for Hire.
A tier.
A tier.
B tier.
We had Christopher Lloyd go on a pro-separatist rant. We had Jack Black as the head of a utopian socialist society where they
Christopher
voted to not
Lloyd
work.
going on a rant about Count Dooku is the only thing that elevates this episode above C tier for me.
Buck O'Brien, shame on you for your deliberations.
O'Brien.
Not allowed.
You
Buck
hate
Wild.
socialism.
Buck
You
Wild.
hate
Wild.
Buck Wild
Buck
take.
Wild.
Buck
Buck
Wild.
Wild.
take. I must walk away.
The invocation of Count Dooku on its own should be grounds to elevate this episode to S tier. I am compromising on A or B.
And look, even though Lizzo may or may not be a shitty boss and a bad person to work with, it doesn't change the fact that that role, literally, she made Grogu a knight of the Order of Independent Regencies. Like,
B tier.
it's hysterical. I'm saying A. Jared's
A.
saying S.
I said
You said
S or
B.
A, but A.
So A, yeah, A tier.
We shall place it in the A tier category, even though I do not
A
agree.
tier.
But I did watch it with Jared, and it was wonderful. A tier. This next one, however,
S tier.
this next one was quite incredible.
A tier.
Which episode?
The Spies, where
B
they go
tier.
to Mandalore.
S tier. I talked about it already on Twitter. Grogu stopping them from fighting is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. The
Perfection.
death of Paz Vizsla is one of the best deaths in all of Star Wars. This is an incredible episode.
The opening alone.
B tier.
The opening
However,
alone with the Shadow
The
Council.
opening with the Shadow Council. This is going to be something that I discuss when we get to Andor. But any episode with Imperial meetings is immediately great to
Phenomenal.
me. So therefore,
Phenomenal.
I will accept A tier.
I also agree with A tier. Does
Let
anyone
the
else-
court note that Michael might be a fascist. We'll have to unpack that later.
Yeah, and
It
the
is
chat, was
going-
already, the chat was calling me the info warrior. Joke's on you.
Shut up, Jared.
Chapter 24, The
76, looking up
Return.
A tier.
B tier.
A tier.
Judge Cable.
A tier.
A tier for me as well. It's going to automatically go on A tier. We shall now move on to the Book of Boba Fett. What I believe could be the most controversial of this discussion. The first episode titled Chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land.
Might I
It
just
had a
say,
lot of promise to build up to. How did this character get from one point to another? What happened in the Sarlacc pit?
I would
And-
simply like to state that, as my opinion on the show overall, is that I like the individual episodes perhaps more than I like it overall as a cohesive narrative.
is fair.
Which I think will lend
That
itself
is
more to this format. And I think we should
fair.
keep that in mind when we are ranking these
That is fair.
episodes. That
Yes.
my opinions are on the episodes themselves.
Yes.
And this episode, it's okay. C tier.
Attorney
I would have said B. I'm willing to go to C. I think it's a good start, but it immediately looks inferior to its successor, episode 2, which is phenomenal. So
Oh, perfection. Attorney Jedi, that is Dark Jedi, yes?
B tier.
B tier. So we have C's and B's, Judge Cable.
B tier.
I am on the fence here. Though I do like it as an introduction to this character in this capacity, it is not his true introduction. I'm willing to put it into the category of C tier. And that's where
C
it will
tier.
remain.
Raise thy hands.
Raise thy hand, C tier.
I will concede to C tier.
C tier. Declare it.
the right honorable Lady Catherine is in the chat.
My wife, my betrothed.
My wife.
Hello,
My
Scott.
betrothed.
Get help. That sounds quite familiar.
Nice dude.
You'll be hearing from our lawyers.
They're standing right
We're the lawyers.
C tier. Now, this episode, which still
S-
makes me weep.
S tier. I don't believe there's a need for any further discussion.
Instantly, S tier.
S
The
tier.
greatest episode.
I would have
of the
argued
show.
A tier, but I will concede to S tier.
Why?
Shocking,
I'm
shocking.
gonna
that
put it. I'm
Jared-
gonna put it in S tier. But why would you have argued this? That is the dumbest thing you've ever said.
I think it's great. I just A tier.
Did you not see the ending?
The ending
they
is
all
honestly what
danced?
elevates it to S tier. And in
I
my
have never
humble
wept
opinion.
more than watching a Star Wars haka in my entire life.
The Haka fucks.
Thank you.
The
S
haka
tier.
fucks. The strange.
Also, the lizard
How
went in
can-
his nose, and it was kind of funny.
How can Star Wars in a Galaxy pod,
I think I swallowed it.
also known as Eli, how can he be like C tier for the episode 1 is our most egregious decision so far? They put Frog Lady in fucking D tier.
moron.
That's
Moving
the most
on.
egregious decision so far.
Go to bed, Eli.
Out of here.
I am going to say something quite controversial, though it is the introduction of Black Christian. I believe that was
Black Shannon?
Wait,
What?
Black Christian was his name?
Black Christian.
Black chrysanthemum.
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 Christoffel.
Santo.
Santo.
You can call
Was
him.
that in the tribes of Tatooine, or was that in the streets of Mos Espa?
Shut the fuck up.
I think it
Or
was
that-
in. I think it was in Tribes.
I'm
Can't remember.
drunk for
When did the twins show up?
2. Yeah. I think it is 2.
S tier instantly. This episode, however, the streets of Mos Espa.
I
This
would
was
vote
that's what
high in
is-
B tier.
Good, not great. I would say B is fine.
B.
It gives us my wife Drash, which is like,
That's right.
you know,
Oh,
Amen. brother.
Bona. We are going to choose
a few black.
B tier for the streets of Mos Espa. This has been very fun, gentlemen. Let's keep this up. We're doing much better. We have 30 left to choose from. This next one, however, this one to me is the one where he calms the Rancor, if I'm not mistaken. Chapter 4, The Gathering Storm. I honestly, reflecting on it, the only thing I remember is them going into Jabba's palace and
That
getting
is
the
bulk
slave
of the
one.
episode.
Bulky
And
episode
while
is, yeah,
it is
in the past.
fine, it's not really one that I think about very much when it comes to Boba Fett, and therefore I would vote C tier.
I would say
C
B or
tier?
C is fine.
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
B.
C tier has been determined. Judge Cable,
C tier.
anything you would C tier? Thank you, Judge Cable.
C tier.
This show is more C tier than I'd like to admit. And then there comes 2, what I believe, S tier episodes of Star Wars ever.
Yep.
My all-time favorite. Well, I'm sorry, not quite true. Chapter 5, The Return of the Mandalorian. Where do we sit?
S tier, and then the next one's
Instantly.
S tier. Let's
I
not kid
go
ourselves.
I go A tier then S tier, but
I concur. A tier, and then we get to S tier.
A and S is fine with me too.
Judge
Good with
Cable?
yeah, because you're
Mm.
ass.
A-S. You take my fucking
It
joke.
spells
A
as
S
in
to the
moron.
A to the
Ass
M.
tier. It's
R.
ass tier. Let's do it.
Is going to be A tier?
A and S. A to the S.
We're
To
going
the
to
M
put
to
an
the
A
R.
tier.
A
It
to the
is
S to the other
fantastic.
S.
This show forgot the main character when it comes to this
Yeah.
next one.
People with no media literacy told me these don't have to do with the story.
Are you ready for an instant S tier episode discussion?
One of the hardest S tiers of all S tiers, right?
This
here.
is, to me, the actual highest S tier that Star Wars has ever achieved. This is
I assume we were speaking about From the Desert Comes a Stranger.
this is truly
Indisputably
It has
an
not
S tier
been topped.
episode.
to
This
personally
is
for
one
me,
of the episodes that got me to react verbally the most because I
S
recall
tier, S tier,
saying, "Oh,
because
shit."
Chris Swift, Eli, clip this shit. Chris Swift, you're a fucking crackhead. This episode rules.
this is the greatest episode of Star Wars television,
S tier.
even with
Crack
Ahsoka.
rock, crack rock.
This is the best one for me personally. Automatic S tier. Chapter 7, though it was spoiled by Star Wars Newsnet. A point of contention that I still hold high. Posting a actual photo of Boba Fett riding a Rancor, which ruined it.
I would like to say that this is a B tier episode. While it has some fun action,
Objection,
I believe
Your
that
Honor.
it drags a
Mr.
good
McCoy is smoking crack again in this.
bit. This
And what's it
episode
called?
drags
Let the
a
man
bit,
speak.
unfortunately.
This is A.
the bit
This
with
is
the
A.
big ass droids with those shields. God, it never ends. It
Boba
feels
Fett-
like
kind
it
of-
goes on
I
for half
kind
an
of-
hour.
I'm kind of with Attorney McCoy a little bit.
long.
You're kind of with fucking wrong, Your Honor.
I'll
A tier
silence
at the
you!
very least.
He is
You will
insulting
respect-
I
the
will snatch
integrity of
that
our
wig,
court system.
motherfucker. A tier at
Pardon?
least.
It's A tier. This episode's A tier.
Do we veto this, Judge Cable, or should we let them allow the discussion? A tier?
If the majority says A tier, then who am I to deny the law? When I don't get what I want, I don't throw a tantrum like Counselor Jared.
Here,
I
here.
will simply bite the bullet, shit my
Bachman
pants,
Stubbs,
and accept the
bitch.
outcome of the law.
Here, here.
Okay, A tier. A tier.
Now we get to what I would say is the most controversial of the shows. Personally, for me,
reasons beyond me. This should not be controversial at all.
Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 1.
S tier.
Okay, let's do
S
this real
tier.
quick. AAAASS.
No,
Moving on.
No.
You're right.
Let us
No,
discuss.
you're right.
No.
That opinion is ass.
SS.
C.
Shut up, Jared. Part 1.
S
Oh
all
my
the way.
lord.
Part
S all
1.
the way down.
A at the lowest. S comfortably.
S. 100% S.
A.
This is the
Hey.
best.
When they introduced
first
Leia?
episode. This is
You
the
know
best first
who
episode
we
of any
are.
of these shows, and I would even include animation. It's the best pilot that Lucasfilm has ever produced for a television program.
Objection, Your Honor. Alden was at the premiere.
Objection, Your
So was
Honor.
all of us. You.
Every single
Why?
person.
Are you
that was
saying
at
your
Star Wars
day was
Celebration
ruined
at the
simply
premiere.
because you were unable to attend the premiere?
Yes. Is that what you stated?
No,
You could
the
not
only
get
day
in?
of celebration Anaheim that was ruined for me was that they didn't show shit on the live stream, and I went full Alex Jones and wasn't mad at the
Pardon?
crew.
They talked about Willow.
They talked about Willow, man, and Willow
They
fucking
did.
slapped, and it's
Yes,
not my
Willow
fault you
fucking
weren't.
sucks. You're right.
It's
I
slapped,
say
you fucking
that
moron.
Counselor
dude.
Diaz and myself have voted S tier, and therefore it should go in S tier.
It's
Touch cable?
S tier, no matter what.
S
Jared's
tier.
uncultured
It's
ass
A
does.
It's
S
all
tier.
S tier.
I would-
This
A
is not
tier.
based. This
Shut
is
the
not.
fuck up.
This is
It's
not
A
based.
tier. It's A tier. I understand I got
Unbelievable.
outvoted.
Silence.
I believe in democracy.
Silence.
y'all,
No, you
it's
do not.
rose
You
tinted
believe in
glasses.
I will
talking
mute
over
him.
everyone.
I will mute. He's been muted. He's been
This
muted.
is S tier.
Automatic
Not
S tier.
simply based on the presence of certain parties at a premiere, but based on subsequent watches afterwards. S tier. Final.
For me,
final, yeah.
It
Sustained.
teeters on A tier, but I will uphold the opinion of S tier for the sanctity of the court. Now, Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 2. Where do
A
we
tier.
lie? A tier from Sir McCoy. Mr. Diaz?
I would say this episode is really, really fun. I would say A at the very lowest, the tippy top high point of B. It also introduced Dayu, the home of Thabor Shing's Esquire. Um,
The only
It's really, really good.
lawyer that matters. Let's be real.
it's true. It's true.
I concur. A tier is where this one will lie.
I hold this episode in a special place in my heart because I got to hear Honorable Judge J-Ro yell, "Flee!"
And I will say I was the
concur
only
that
person
this-
in that whole pantheon to yell it.
This was a highlight of said first
Our
watch.
lives.
Yes, absolutely. Flee!
Flee. What do you have to
I
say?
will,
You're unmuted. Swan.
While I
Personally-
must say that
Go ahead.
Flea is the least embarrassing thing yelled at Star Wars Celebration, as the most embarrassing thing was make Solo 2 happen. It's a low A tier.
You'll be
high
hearing
tier.
from the NYPD for that.
I hope I do.
Very, very soon. We will all probably be shot for that.
I'm drunk. I didn't mean it.
Guys,
moving
this is
on.
really good.
Too late now.
Too
Can I
late
say
now,
something?
Swine.
Can I say something about our third episode here before we
I would
praise it
love
for all
to
the
hear
good?
about this third episode.
This
Hold
part
on.
3, while just delightful in every way and just amazing, similar to the tragedy, we were not yet at the point of combining the volume with location shoots.
Yes.
Ahsoka mastered that. Ahsoka looks great when they're outside.
Yes.
Ahsoka looks great
Yes.
when they're outside. Like Tony Gilroy said, there isn't a hybrid show yet. Now we have one with Ahsoka.
Yes.
But this Kenobi Vader first confrontation is wonderful. It just looks very fan filmy. Outside of that, it's great. I think Tala's great. I think the path is
Lord,
great.
Here he goes.
Freck.
Jared, stop hiling and say what you have to say.
Okay.
Oh
You said it, not me. Okay. Listen.
Good Lord.
Council Diaz, will you talk to me?
I don't know if I can be in this court anymore.
No,
Council
I
Diaz,
won't
will you
talk to you.
me?
My Lord.
Well, good night, everybody.
Put him in contempt.
Mr.
Good
McCoy,
This is how we know he's an Alex Jones fan.
Mr. McCoy, will you talk to me?
Don't talk
God.
to him.
Unbelievable.
Mr. McCoy, will you
more.
talk to me?
We shall call a recess
I
right
believe.
now. Recess.
Miss Taylor is here to give a statement.
Hello. What the fuck?
I would like to apologize. Alden said it, and I just kind of did it. Okay. Now that we've all had a break, Mr. Diaz, Mr. Diaz,
Lord.
will you talk to me?
Attorney Jedi.
No, shut the fuck up. Let's
Mr.
keep going.
McCoy, will you talk to me?
I would like to say that this is an A tier episode.
Yes, I agree. This is going in the category.
Mr. J-Ro, would you?
This is-
You're the
Mr. Diaz, I
Honorable
believe,
J-Ro,
is
would you like to
declared
talk
A
to me?
tier as well.
the viewership went up. Thank you. But
Your
This is-
Honorable Mr. Cable, would you like to talk to me?
I don't know, buddy.
Okay, listen. This episode is A tier at the very least because it features one of my favorite things in all of Star Wars, and that is Anakin Skywalker. And that is Anakin Skywalker being the most dramatic bitch in the whole room.
That's fair. When he says
I agree.
"Now you will suffer, Obi-Wan."
Listen,
I
this man,
am what you made me.
That shit's great.
he lit Obi-Wan Kenobi on fucking fire.
Just because he spent 9 years being like, if I ever see him again, it's fire.
And that is A tier alone. I would like to personally apologize before we go any further. Alden said that shit, and I did that shit. And that wasn't funny or acceptable. And if you're upset with me, you have every right to be. And I'm not going to tell you you shouldn't be. That wasn't funny. We're laughing because it was really abrupt and a snap choice decision. And I have no defense. That wasn't funny.
It's the mustache, isn't it?
It's
Can't handle it.
the mustache is what makes it
Should have shaped it a little bit
kind of
shorter.
unfortunate.
Pull up Eric's comment and let's
Jared,
talk about
Jared's
this instead.
here apologizing like I am what Alden made me.
Jared, do you agree with this?
I don't think it's very cutty. I could hear Kendrick say it. You have every right to. I have no
Chapter
defense.
4.
No, seriously, like kayfabe characters aside, that wasn't funny. That wasn't funny. That was a snap decision, and I shouldn't have done that, and I apologize. And that's on me and nobody else on this screen. That wasn't funny.
Chapter 4.
We're laughing because it's uncomfortable, but I shouldn't have done that. That wasn't funny.
Wait till you see his
Chapter
Halloween
4.
costume.
Chapter 4, I would say A.
C.
Oh my lord, C tier.
Oh my god, no, it's so A. First of all, you get
A.
to
Yeah,
you
A
get to
for
do
ass.
You get to do the
Oh
fucking
my lord.
Fortress
I've changed my
Inquisitorius.
mind because Jared is an ass. A.
You get to do the Fortress Inquisitorius invasion, but with a more interesting character than Cal. And
Oh,
then,
you're a fucking crack rock.
And then, but in all
Silence.
seriousness, episode 2 or beginning of episode 3, Leia asks what the Force is like, and they compare it to turning on the light. And then when she's in darkness, attached to that board, about to be tortured, what happens? Boom, the light of her friend, of her father's friend, of her mother's friend.
That
He's there.
element is incredible. I'm not going to disagree with you.
That's it. That's all we need from you.
But the fight choreography,
23
the fight
vote.
choreography is, I'm sorry, that is the worst lightsaber choreography of the Disney era.
What are you taught?
Obi-Wan looks like he's fucking lost. He is lost. He looks like he is confused.
Your Honor,
He is
I
lost.
believe
give a
that
shit
the
about
man
Leia
accusing
being-
us
He
of
is
smoking
lost.
crack
Dude,
is
he's like,
smoking the
he
crack.
He literally is lost.
Obi-Wan kills a stormtrooper and goes, Where am I going? He looks
He's
confused.
never been there, you idiot.
A tier.
It takes away from the moment. C tier.
A tier.
A tier. So I guess. Well, does that mean we
There
compromise?
there is no C tier in this for me.
Jerry
I
backs
must
us up.
say.
So
I'm
Judge
impartial.
Cable has made his ruling.
Jerry
You
Cable
see a-
already
you
used
see a
his veto,
tomb.
so Scotty
You see
J
a tomb. We have made some fans upset, Jared. Your actions were heinous.
well,
Unbelievable.
I'm
Automatic
still not
HA.
comfortable. I do feel the need to just apologize every time I open my mouth. I didn't like that either.
You should apologize by putting this episode in A tier.
Apologize. You should be happy I didn't put it in D tier.
Pardon? Let's move on.
There's some
Let's
D
move
for
on.
Drunk.
but they don't stitch together into a good episode.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, part 5.
A
S
tier.
S.
This is an A tier episode. It is good, and it is a build up to our excellent finale.
it's S tier, and so is the next one. The combination of showing how Anakin and Obi-Wan's conflict was back in the day, and how the conflict really hasn't changed. Like fundamentally, as strategists, as men, playing off each other, the dynamic is the same in the past and the present. It's great, and Reva versus Vader is fucking aces.
I've changed my mind because I forgot about the Grand Inquisitor's line, "Good morning, princess."
A S
And
tier.
therefore, this is
Determined.
an S tier episode.
Determined. S tier. I agree. And
S
should we
tier.
even delegate this next one?
All right, everybody.
6 is why
1,
I'm a
2,
Star Wars
3.
fan.
S tier.
S tier.
S tier, and if you don't
moving
agree,
on.
you're high.
S tier.
S
If
tier.
you
Obi-Wan.
disagree, crack rock, crack rock.
Now we come to the show that was not pleasurable for everyone in this court.
Mid door.
A show I enjoyed, yes, but
Very well done. Very well.
as a whole,
all enjoyed.
You
all
motherfuckers
enjoyed. It
ruined
was enjoyed by
Andor.
all, yes, but week to week suffered for me personally. Let us
But-
deliberate.
Again, we are judging the episodes themselves. We must keep this in mind. And I believe that this first part had an incredibly strong introduction
Yes,
that set the
agreed.
tone for the series
Whole series.
May I make a statement that
and
will
was
just
bold to do as a Star Wars opening scene. I believe this is an A tier episode.
I believe that on the individual quality from episode to episode, Andor does not belong any lower than B tier. The issue that Andor suffers from is that grading this show from episode to episode is much more difficult than The Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett because it is less a bottle episode and more of like an enjoyable week-to-week experience. And each episode builds upon itself moving forward. Like
This
The
is true.
Mandalorian season 2 is much easier, is like in that middle ground where every episode of Mando season 2 is both building towards the like getting Grogu home plot line and an adventure of the week. Mando season 3 and Mando season 1 are both kind of adventure of the week. Mando season 3 obviously has the Mandalore plot, but because all of the pieces are in place from kind of episode 2 and on, that still kind of is just building upon itself. Andor is a lot harder to grade because each episode builds upon the next. So on the
But if you
individual
were
quality-
to weigh it, if you were to categorize it by their episodes,
We still have to. I mean, like, yeah, like
I know.
We
I
to
just
get-
wanted to be on the record that like this one's harder to grade.
It is
than the other
important,
episode.
and that did need to be stated.
it needed to be stated, but like the Andor starts in those. It stops with episode 7, kind of throws it off. But like those first 2 arcs are downbeat, punch, downbeat,
Yes.
punch. Then 7's an interlude, and then you get another downbeat, punch, and then a 2-parter. So it's like it is hard to sort of do it, but like I could tell you right now, I would probably go BAS on the first 3.
Bass.
I would say A, C, A.
A cab.
I think 3 is S. I think 3 is incredible. But
I'm comfortable with 3 and S, but
I
Jared.
think in the name of time. I mean, we can't just all like wholeheartedly put all of Andor in one tier.
you're
I
fucking
don't-
right, we won't.
I don't think you can, in good conscience, despite what any of us want to say, despite how the discourse has jaded us against this show, fairly or unfairly, I don't think there's a single episode of this show that is below the A tier, B tier
Lies.
at the very lowest.
Lies. Bullshit. There were some awful episodes in this show.
Fuck off.
I'd rather
J-Ro.
watch my pubic hair grow than watch some of these episodes. They were
Judge
terrible.
J-Ro can eat my ass.
Yeah, because they didn't say midi-chlorians or go, you so Bombad. Fuck you.
You literally did
This
not
first
deceive-
episode. Let us get down to business, gentlemen.
Yes,
This
I
first
agree.
episode,
Tony McCoy.
A tier.
B tier.
What? B tier.
Sure.
B
B
tier.
tier. B tier. Casa.
The second episode, I will go B or C, whatever the majority decides.
B.
B
I'm
tier
fine.
as well.
I'm fine with B.
Now,
B.
I will agree with Mr. Diaz and other people in this court that this episode did make me weep.
3, I
This
cried.
third episode was phenomenal. The best show, to me, besides One Way Out, the best episode of the series. I
Very
would
well.
put it in S tier.
I will accept S tier. I would have said A, but again, I will not complain.
Anyone else care to voice their opinions before I select which tier it belongs to? Gentlemen?
Like I
Yes,
said,
yeah.
the nothing goes lower than B.
It's
Nothing goes
S
lower
tier.
than B.
This one's S
Unbelievable.
tier because him leaving in the present, leaving in the past, that intercut at the end is one of the best things ever done. in Star
Oh,
Wars.
wait, we're on the third one? Yeah, S. I'm sorry, I misheard.
Instantly S tier for me. Best episode. S tier, automatically voted. Episode 4, Aldani.
B.
This
B.
could be like B or C for me.
B tier. This is a little bit faster than I thought, gentlemen.
B tier.
Now, this next one I will have things to say about. The Axe Forgets, I believe, does belong in A tier because I think it has some very strong character interactions. It has
Yeah, and
its
remember that
manifesto.
part where the vehement
has-
anti-fascist has a manifesto and that makes him as bad as a fascist? If you're bad at watching things, of course.
I also believe
You have
that the
already in
interaction-
trouble. Stop.
The
You're
interaction between Skeen and Cassian, in which he removes the Sky Kyber,
Yes.
and that causes tension within the group. Is
And this
absolutely-
episode is even better when you know Skeen's a liar.
It's true.
When,
yes,
when
absolutely.
you rewatch it, it plays so different.
This episode on rewatch is fucking phenomenal.
It is
And
very
also, you get good stuff with Gorn in the Imperial base. And therefore, I believe this is an A tier episode.
I
I'm fine with
would
that.
agree with Mr. McCoy. Judge K-Bal?
A tier.
A tier. A tier has been determined. My glove got stuck in my ergonomic mouse.
Eric Elliott, listen, I don't stand by that joke. You should criticize me for it. And I apologize for that. It wasn't funny. I'm not doing a bit. Let's just pause the bit.
I know you're not doing a bit. I'm not
We
laughing at
know,
that.
we know that.
I'm
we
laughing.
clearly
I'm
know that. It
laughing
was
at
a
the
brief mistake.
uncomfortableness at you feeling like you need to address it. You apologize.
We get it.
We're-
It was a
we're
joke.
Drinking.
We're not mad.
It's
No
a
one's
bad
mad
joke.
here.
No, but I'm
No
upset
one's
with
mad.
myself.
Here.
I'm better than that. I'm better than that.
You
I
are
shouldn't
better
have
than
done
that.
I shouldn't have done that. That wasn't
No
funny.
one doubts it.
It wasn't
No one
funny.
That's it.
But when
no.
I see it in the chat, I need to address it. It wasn't funny.
The
It was not
eye.
funny. S tier.
That's true.
The eye is.
I will
It's
agree.
S tier because
The fascist says
sometimes-
S tier. Yes. let's
Because
go.
because when you want to kill Nazis, it can't be pretty sometimes.
Also, the death of Skeen. Holy fuck, what a moment.
Incredible.
I love that the little boy died getting his back broken.
Hey, Lamau.
SS tier. He's
I would put
messing.
that-
He's messing with you. He's messing with you.
I would put that in the S tier as well. Yes, let's do it. The eye was incredible. And then the best part of the eye, if I'm going to be honest with you, is the reaction of all of our main characters hearing the events of it happening across the
great.
galaxy.
That's great.
Phenomenal.
Announcement. Might I say, this is also an S tier episode, not only because of ISB meetings, but because it gives us time to weigh the ramifications of the Aldani arc we just witnessed. It gives us time with characters like Luthen and Mothma, and also it has an incredible scene between Marva and Cassian, where she says, "That's just love."
Oh, that's just
Fuck
love.
me,
Should
man.
put it
S
in.
tier.
That should put it in like S plus
tier?
supreme tier.
Gentlemen, we're putting it in S tier. Is that
S
determined?
tier.
Wow.
tier.
Is this the episode where Starkiller stops and frisks Cassian Andor?
Good lord.
No, it's the next one.
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
It
The
is,
next one.
actually.
Oh, he goes to
Narkina
Narkina
5.
Nyamos, yeah.
Narkina 5.
A tier, B tier. It's the
I would
beginning
say
of that
it's
arc.
B.
Again, I would go BAS on this arc.
I think I
Yes.
actually agree. As much as I love Narkina 5, I think it definitely
It goes
ascends.
back to the ramping up that the first arc
Yeah.
does, and that Aldana
It
does.
starts a little slow, not in a bad way. It's a lot of setup, and the setup is good, but the payoff is better.
I agree with B tier because it reminds me too much of work.
Hey, Lamau.
Jerry
We're
overriding.
putting it in B tier.
Judge Cable.
I
wins
work in
flavor
Narkina
depending
5.
on how
I
he
work
does
in
these
Narkina
cases.
5. and
It freaks him out watching that episode. I also watch
it's
this
a
with
little
my
too real.
I watched this with my father-in-law who was formerly incarcerated for 20 years. And yes, he also said it was very surreal to watch it. So it is quite a lot. Okay,
Man,
Andor,
that's
episode 9.
kind of trippy. I low-key would have killed to watch that with him.
I thought I sent it in our group chat.
It's been a
You don't have a
thousand
group
years.
chat. What are you talking about? I never heard of it.
Anyway, nobody's listening. A tier. That line alone, in the moment where that old man dies at the end, unbelievable.
A tier.
Brutal.
And also, this
tier.
this ends
A
with
tier,
never
if
more than
not S.
12. This ends with a never more than 12, which is like the most hype thing.
I was on the Kiss cruise when I watched this episode. I was in my bunk. I don't know if you knew this. I was in my bunk, fully naked, watching this one.
Nice.
Balls out for what was the guy's name you said? Balls out for Olaf.
Oh wow! Episode 10, One Way Out is automatic
Yes!
S tier.
S tier.
Yes.
S tier.
I would
Super
almost
S.
rank this S tier above anything from
One
Mando
Way
season 3
S.
and 1. From Mando season 3 and 1.
This
was a
is the
phenomenal
pinnacle.
episode.
This is the pinnacle of that show.
This is the best episode of the show.
And
Hands
two
down.
of the best monologues in all of Star Wars.
And all the fucking television. Like, it's insane.
It is the perfect episode. We can all agree. Now, the daughter of Ferrix.
B tier.
B tier.
Very, very
Me too.
strong.
B tier.
Very strong.
The beginning and end of Andor suffer from this thing where, like, when I say that it's like better as a movie, I don't mean in the same way that like Moon Knight or Miss Marvel probably would have meant for better movies. But like, I wish we got the final episodes of Andor also in a mass drop. If that makes sense, because I really think I would have enjoyed.
But we're
the
ranking
final
it. We
few
are ranking it
episodes.
upon episode by episode. That's what this show.
I know.
That's
I know.
why
That's
this
what I'm
show
saying is that I think
faulted. It
they
is poor.
play better. No, not that it's poor. It just plays better as an episodic thing, or as a
B tier.
serialized thing where
B.
Mando is a little bit more episodic, and Kenobi and
B
Boba Fett are kind
tier.
of in that weird middle ground. Low A, high B.
B tier, Mr. Diaz.
B tier. B tier.
That's fine with me, yeah.
McCoy, where did he go? Is he getting changed? He's dead. B tier has been voted.
Hold him in
Daughters of
contempt. He walked out of court.
Your Honor, I had to urinate.
Upholded.
I agree, B tier.
B tier.
Objections on the ground of I had to pee.
We shall move on to the finale of Andor, Rick's Road.
S tier. This show
A
is this
tier.
episode is S tier on the back of the post credit alone. The way that the post credit,
Why has post credits not been mentioned this entire show until this entire stream until the show?
The post credits were great setups for other things. The post credit here puts such a point on the idea that the Empire is way too big to fail, next to the small little individual people of the rebellion. Like the way that they show that the people on Narkina 5 were building screws for a part of the Death Star.
You know,
It shows the way that the Empire minimizes the individual person in the name of a fascist collective, and that alone, like that instance alone, is such a poignant demonstration of the evils of the fascist galactic empire. And that is without getting into the rest of the fucking episode.
Yes. Well, while I agree with this,
says A tier, but I will not object to S tier.
I believe it is an A tier episode. Mr. Diaz.
Mr. Diaz.
I'm fine with A tier, although I would also go S, but I'm fine with A.
Let's round up S, because I need a win after.
I think we have a bit too much in S at this moment.
Yeah, we need
S
to be
is
more
very
precious.
sacred.
As I said, it's precious, but we've defiled that, and we've defiled fucking not D tier means nothing now.
Does it mean nothing, or does that just mean that Star Wars TV is pretty fucking good?
Let me see the D
That's
tier.
fair. The D tier, the only one is literally an episode that none of it. Michael had to die on the hill of.
Michael literally
passenger.
I
bled.
stand by it.
Michael bled in this courtroom just to shit on Frog Lady, and I just
Unbelievable.
He wasn't.
You know
alone.
what? She can drown in my blood for all the fuck I care.
Like you're saying, she can drown in my balls.
My balls. Gentlemen, we must remain and have decorum. Rick's Road is going to be A tier.
A tier.
A tier for A.
Now, as of our most recent episode, in which we must, I guess, series really.
And I
which we
believe this
must
will go by
discuss.
quick, as we've discussed this at length over the last several weeks.
I believe the opening of this show is, in comparison to what we got by the end, B tier.
A B B S S S
Let's
B
Alden,
A.
don't
one
run
at a time,
child.
please.
B tier,
S tier.
episode 1.
the first one.
Episode 1 is very comfortably A.
A tier, okay.
I would be okay with an A tier.
I'll
Cable.
take A.
I agree. That's what I
Episode
said.
Let us vote on A.
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 Episode 2 would be A. Emotionally, I almost want to go S because of Sabine cutting the hair and all that, but I'm gonna say
I think A is a solid place.
I'm gonna say A.
B, but I'll concede.
A. Mr. Cable.
A.
Time to Fly
Here we
is
go.
B.
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 Solid B tier. Yes.
Possibly
No.
C if we have
tier.
to, but B is fine. Yeah.
I concur with Mr. Diaz.
This would be the one we most, I think, relate on out of.
Now I think we may have a continuous series of S tier episodes here.
What do we think, gentlemen? How do we feel about Chapter 4?
4,
Hard
5,
fault,
6,
but
7,
Fallen
and 8 are
Jedi.
all S as far as I'm concerned.
Fallen Jedi is S tier.
S tier.
S tier. It has been decreed. Shadow Warrior.
S S
S tier.
S S.
Second
Take
to
A.
second to From the Desert Comes a Stranger.
This
for
is
me
the best
personally.
tier episode.
This episode's
Far-
predictable as fuck. A.
Wait,
It's
far away?
predictable as fuck.
Far away?
No. Shadow Warrior.
Shadow Warrior, he said.
What parts of Shadow Warrior did you predict?
Anakin's gonna show up, and there's like Clone Wars flashbacks. Tomorrow morning.
You know what? If that's what you're gonna boil it down to, you should write for fucking Collider. Keep smoking crack.
Oh, all right.
Please,
Hey,
Jared.
Whoa.
Jared, I
Whoa.
care about making money. I would never
Sanctions.
lower myself to that.
Good
Jeez.
Lord, gentlemen.
listen.
My Lord.
Lord have
I'm gonna
mercy.
spit
Let's
all
talk
over my
about our
soundboard.
esteemed
My God.
co
I wipe my ass with Collider.
people. All right.
He is shirtless. He is doing
S
things with his
tier.
arms.
S
He is-
tier.
I would agree that it is indeed an S tier episode.
Far
Far
away. S
away.
tier.
Dreams
Far,
of
far away
Madness.
is S.
S tier.
Dreams of Madness, I could go A.
I could
would
go
A
A.
or
for
S.
Dreams and Madness.
I'm gonna go A for
concede
Dreams of
A.
Madness.
I'm gonna go back on what I said earlier. B.
My lord,
Actually,
it's A
fucking-
tier.
No.
It's
And the
B-
finale.
S. It's
S.
B. Listen, as a two-parter,
S
it's
tier.
great. As one episode on its own, it's okay.
Yeah.
They did use my script as a matter of fact. And it did make me upsetty spaghetti.
They used my script. How many fucking ex-Jedi and Inquisitors show up in it? That's Fabian Martell, baby. Watch Ionized Bastards.
So we are to determine that this final episode is what? A or S?
S.
S
S
tier.
tier.
It's S tier. I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about the lack of a hug. You don't know what you're talking about. It's S tier.
Here we go. This is the full list now. We will
I
put it
am
on-
so fucking annoyed that there's one thing in the bottom tier and it's fucking passenger. Are you fucking kidding me?
Do we
It
want
fucking
to,
deserves it?
do we want to have a revote on any of these?
No,
Yeah,
I stand by it.
passenger and gunslinger. What the fuck? I want the chat to tell me what
Chat-
should be bottom tier,
chat,
passenger or
you-
gunslinger.
Our jury has not had the chance to speak because we have all had disagreements among this thing. Chat, you are going to determine these two titles.
No,
You,
no,
yes,
we are not
I am-
undoing justice.
Silence.
silent child.
Silence.
This goes against the law. This goes
It
against
is not.
everything we have stood
Gentlemen,
for.
Everyone,
It is our
everyone,
court.
chat, tell us where the gunslinger goes, and we will determine it based on votes.
After all this, after all the arguments and the sacrifices and the compromises we've made, you would compromise the very heart of justice here and now? For
Yes.
what?
Mr. McCoy, everything has gone your way except this one thing. Can you
Buck,
shut up,
Buck,
child?
I want you to know that I hid your comment with prejudice because I'm an admin.
What did it say?
I forget, but I disagreed with it.
Hostage was live action Star Wars TV. Ooh,
Fuck
got a good
Frog
point
Lady.
from Brian in the
Vote for
chat.
Toro. Okay.
Scotty, you are so hot and you're so fucking wrong.
Don't say that to me on a stream, please.
Not you, Holiday.
Don't call me Holiday. It's Mr. Jaro to you.
He's not a
Mhm.
Batman villain. He is not the antagonist of the Long Halloween.
Okay, so what have we voted on? Does anyone kept track? Everyone seems to appear that I agree that this was it pornography?
Nice, dude.
Anyway, what do we think? Let's look at these chats over here.
It looks like everyone is saying that Gunslinger is D tier.
If we compromise
going to
justice, we
detail.
are no better.
It
than
is
the-
going to D tier. It is going to D tier. Gunslinger
D-tier.
is going down.
Overruled.
This is
I'm
going
sorry, I'm
overruled.
allergic
This is
to
our veto.
bullshit.
This is our veto.
No.
I did not get my veto. This is my veto. Gunslinger is in D tier. It has been confirmed. We shall submit.
Crack rock.
Unbelievable. Childish behavior.
Get
I-
fucked, Jake Cannavale.
This is the day that justice died. Judge J-Ro and Judge Jable killed it.
Who the
Jable.
fuck is Judge Jable?
JJ Brooms.
We can now see the results. There have been 4 results. We can actually compare. But the
Hmm.
graph
Did you guys
is
ever
so
hear
small.
the attorney's
Four
prayer?
people submitted tiers.
Yes.
Oh man, let's open those up.
Okay.
They got
so
names on
Oh,
them?
4 of
seem-
them are Eli.
They
It
got
is so
names
hard to
on-
read. It is. Oh, here we go. There's a breakdown. Oh, Gregory submitted one. Buck, Eli, and the Bombadcast. Okay. I don't know if y'all can see it on your screen. I will pull it up a little bit bigger. Can y'all see it, gentlemen? Can we see it?
I see it.
Yeah,
but
I
the
can see
letters
it.
are
Yes.
small.
It's tiny.
Yes.
Let me bring it up bigger. Better.
Yeah.
So we've got A tier for
Press
Buck.
one.
You can see Buck's vote.
What
A
is
tier.
the point of all this? If we
Buck
throw
has
away
only granted
justice at last?
Michael, you sound like
handful
a
of
fucking
S
Final
tiers.
Fantasy villain.
What?
You know,
Was it
it's
all
rare
4?
that someone else compared to a Final Fantasy villain, and it's not me.
My lord, Guns for Hire by Buck O'Brien got a D tier.
Oh my god.
Good
bro.
lord.
Buck
Oh.
Wild, Buck
Oh.
Wyland.
Buck also
Buck
said
Wild,
that B tier is the tribes of Tatooine. Horse. I do not believe. Oh wait, no, that was
Horsehaki.
That was Gregory. William Hardy. What a fool.
Horse.
What a chap.
Where
Okay,
where did the passenger land?
for who?
Please.
For Buck?
For everyone.
Let me look. The passenger. The passenger, chapter 10, The Mandalorian, C tier, C tier, and D tier.
Sounds about fucking right.
How about we not use that foul language?
Fuck, fuckity, fuck.
Good lord, you're a child. No wonder you lose to me in trivia every time you match me.
Listen,
Dude, I will fight you.
Oh
in a
my.
parking lot. You
This
know what?
abuse of
Good
justice
lord.
is akin
Meet
to the
me
Caspar Maynard fiasco of the 19th century.
this has devolved
We need to
exponentially.
uphold this court. Gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough for your time
Uphold
this
these
evening.
balls.
Oh, I'm going to kick him. I'm tired of his voice.
Don't kick me. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
kick him,
just-
kick him.
I'm
Just
done.
calm down, man.
I'm done. I'm sorry.
Let us plug our shows for hopefully Teen App will be canceled in the near future.
Okay, I'm glad you started with me. I have no plugs, just apologies.
Oh
That
my
wasn't
God.
funny. Go to the next person. That
What a
wasn't
fool.
funny.
Mr.
That wasn't
McCoy.
funny.
You can find me on Twitter at Local First Order. You can find me on YouTube, all remaining systems, where I currently have content that is in the works. I have my current series of Star Wars fan fiction, Heart of the Jedi, which is based around original characters, starting with a series of short stories such as the Code trilogy and the Hand of Demise and Scorn, and leading into the Elegy of Malevolence trilogy, which I'm currently still on the first part of, and I'll eventually get to writing more of it. And I'm also working on a new short story that'll be out soon. That is a work in progress. That is a prequel to something else that's on my channel, Ionized Bastards, which is my Star Wars RPG series starring Alden, Jared, and Dan Miller from Broaxium, in which we do an RPG series that takes place a couple years after the fall of Jakku, following a group of ne'er-do-wells saving the galaxy and doing cool shit. So yeah, you can check me out there.
That was a beautiful plug. My
Thank
lord.
you.
I would like to hear from Mr. Diaz.
My name is Matthew Naruto Scotty Holiday.
So tonight I was drinking Dueling Pistols. It's a wine that I have. It's a 50% Zinf and a 50% Syrah. It's a 2017.
50% nymph.
Hey, Lamau. It's really good. Highly recommend it. It's affordable. And I'm working on some stuff. If you're on the internet, try not to yell and complain about things you don't understand. If you co-host a Star Wars show, try to actually like and engage with Star Wars. And yeah, register to vote.
Good lord, I love that plug. that was beautiful.
Register to vote, but just don't vote for Lena So.
Christ.
How about you do Thrawn, Matthew Naruto?
Matthew Naruto, what would you like to know?
Naruto.
I thought the passenger was quite frankly the least of us.
Oh my
One
god.
of the worst.
passenger is
of
cheeks.
Star Wars
Perhaps.
television.
Anyway,
Perhaps.
happy birthday, Miss Taylor. So, how about we now move?
Happy birthday, Miss Taylor.
But I'm saying that's amazing.
Sometimes
Okay.
giving birth is death.
We must plug our show.
In some ways, life is death.
Mr. Capable
Wait,
and I.
wait. Time out. I
Good
need to hear.
lord.
No,
I have to
need
go
hear
to work
Michael-
tomorrow.
I need to
Let
hear
Jerry do his
Michael-
plugs.
I need to hear Michael do the Knowledge Fight birthday shout out as Thrawn or Markion Rowe. It's your
Okay, Jared, just remind me of what the exact words are and I'll do it as Markion.
sometimes giving life is death. Sometimes life is death.
Sometimes to give life is to give death. In some ways, life is death.
Thank you.
Good lord.
Someone
Jerry-
let this fucking grown man with a fucking job say what he's gonna do. or
If I'm
what
not
he does.
mistaken, don't we have the creepypasta episode coming up next?
Is it next? It's coming up for
Following.
sure.
It's certainly coming up.
Get your creepy pastas in, kids, because it's that time of year again, and we need your stories. So
This
go
was a
ahead,
living
send that.
one for a moment there.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest with you. For a brief moment, I thought I was living in a creepypasta.
I'm really sorry. That wasn't funny.
Oh my god, Jared.
He says with a
Still in
smirk.
it.
I will find a way to edit that out of this live stream if it's possible.
It is possible.
I will do that post haste. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining this experience and having fun. May everyone here abide in Bombad excellence. This court will meet again, maybe with different attorneys, in the next month of November. This will be a monthly stream where things will be determined. We have yet to discuss what our next tier will be, but hopefully it does not include 57 categories to choose from. Thank you, everyone,
Yes.
for joining.
Quite excessive.
By all means, has this jury achieved unanimous accord?
Yeah.
I say we have.
Yes. Jared's
Pray
apology
for-
tour begins next week.
Pray for person of the jury, declare the verdict. The verdict has been determined. This is our official tiers list. We will post it and tweet it out for the world to see. Thank you, everyone, for joining this wonderful eve. And as always, abide in Bombad excellence.
Individuals of the court, with the profoundest sentiments of gratitude, we draw to a close this noble undertaking of tier list crafting. Within these tiers, we discern a mirror of human toil and promise. May they be set as an enduring monument to the labors of each and every participant. In the hallowed name of Bombad we pledge our trust, and in the pursuit of Bombad excellence we endeavor to abide.